But just to be able to have people you can call up and say, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And we can just brainstorm some ideas. Women just seem so generous with what they're willing to share and how they're willing to help each other. And I just love that about the industry.
Welcome to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. I'm Tori Mystic. As a dog mom lifestyle expert, blogger, and business owner, I love talking to other women in the pet industry and sharing their advice with you every week. Sit, stay, and listen to the latest episode. In this episode, I am talking with Julie Holmes of Unique Pet Care. Julie's company creates solutions for cleaning pet stains and odors in your home. She talked to me about how important it is to use the right words to communicate with pet parents in her target audience. Think tinkle instead of urine. Of course, we also talk about the formulas themselves and why it's important to have a cleanup solution with bacteria, not just enzymes. This is the good bacteria that will clean up a mess and keep working until it leaves nothing behind. Besides talking about tinkle, poop, and puke, we also managed to talk about business. Julie is a big believer in networking within industry groups. She recommends that you find a group within your niche or get involved in groups that help with a specific thing like SEO or manufacturing. You don't always have to go to the big events and trade shows. Sometimes the more specific and small events are actually way better. And although I have known Julie through email for quite a while, we did actually get to meet in person this summer, and I completely agree that the relationships you form in person really can't be replaced 100% on Zoom. I hope that you enjoy this interview and use it as inspiration to research some small in-person events that you can attend to network for your business in the new year. 2023 is coming up very, very soon. Julie Holmes has been an integral part of Unique Pet Care since its inception in 1995. Her love for a diverse array of pets has allowed Julie to be on the forefront of the pet industry for decades. Through industry groups such as Women in the Pet Industry, which is sadly now defunct, Julie has created a strong network of colleagues and friends in the pet industry. At Unique Pet Care, she continues to work to create the best products for cleaning pet stains and odors. She lives in the foothills of Colorado with 2 dogs, a cat, 35 chickens, and 2 peacocks. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Tori. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. We recently got to meet over the summer,
Yes.
and I just was like, you have to come on because, we have so much to talk about.
Well, glad to be here. It was great to meet you in person.
Why don't we get started? If you want to kind of share with us, you've been in the pet industry for a long time, but what inspired you to start working in the pet industry, and I guess maybe to stick with it all this time?
Okay, so it started out as a family business, and my father started it, and it was for pet stains in apartments. And so that's how it started. And then I've been on the ground floor from the get-go. And since my passion is pets, which I have a variety now, but I've had llamas, I've had sheep, I've had all kinds of other crazy things. It's been a natural fit for me to be in this industry. And I love the people. I love the energy of the pet industry.
And do you think that it has changed a whole lot since 1995?
We didn't go to as many shows as I do now. It's still I feel like a lot of the high positions tend to be more male than female, but I feel like we're getting in there and taking our space out. So
yes, we are changing it.
Yes, absolutely.
We're clawing our way up.
I totally agree. And well needed, because if everybody looks at their demographics, who are their customers, it tends to be women.
Yeah. And, just purchasing deciders in most households are women in general.
Exactly.
And especially in the pet space.
Especially my industry, cleaning, who does that usually fall to?
Yes. So speaking of cleaning, tell us about the products that you make at Unique Pet Care, because they are unique.
They are. Thank you. So ours are bacteria based, and in the pet industry, you hear the term enzymes all the time. And enzymes are fabulous. They break down organic waste. But the benefit of having a bacteria is it creates its own enzyme. The enzyme breaks it down small enough for the bacteria to eat and turns it into water and carbon dioxide, and it goes away. So it's a permanent solution when you use bacteria, and it reproduces itself. So instead of having, say, if you had a bottle of enzymes and there's 1 million in there, you have 1 million enzymes. When you have bacteria, you have unlimited, because about every 20 to 40 minutes, they double in population. So if you start with 1 million, then you've got 2 million, then you've got 4 million, and they just go to work. And for me, the easiest analogy is, think of Pac-Man. Remember the old Pac-Man game? And they keep eating and eating, and then there's more of them and more of them. And that's exactly what happens. And then when there's no food source, which is urine, feces, vomit, spill a glass of wine, all that will get cleaned up. And then the bacteria just goes away. And it doesn't leave anything in your carpet. It leaves it clean.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I guess I had never really thought about bacteria and enzymes being two separate things, because you're right. Almost everything just screams enzymes at you as like the main way to clean everything.
Well, and I think part of that may come from just marketing. So when we started this almost 30 years ago, when people said bacteria, like, it was scary. And you'd say non-pathogenic, that meant nothing to anyone in the world. And so now we can say, okay, when you drink kombucha, that stringy thing in there, that's the magic. And that you will see in our product if it was in a clear bottle. For years, we had it in a clear bottle, and people were like, ooh, there's stuff in there. So it's fascinating to me how it's changed over time. Now people get that. And we say probiotics constantly. We feed our dogs probiotics. We take probiotics. This is a probiotic.
Right. So should people just pour kombucha when their dog has an accident? No.
I think it might be sticky if you did. I think there's a lot of sugar that comes in kombucha.
I think there is. I was looking at making your own kombucha, and I think it's a lot of sugar. So we'll stick with the correct products. But I guess like part of the challenge, like you were just saying, is the communication of it all, and people not really understanding the science. You have to kind of like dumb it down really for everyone to get it. I mean, no respect intended, but for people to get stuff, we got to dumb it down. So how do you kind of work that into the marketing of the products? Like, do you kind of turn into some fun things, or how do you get people interested in talking about this?
Well, I say we have fun talking about poop and pee all day long, because it's what we do. Because we have other divisions. So we also talk about RVs and poop and pee in there, and septics and drains. So it's like, it is the topic of conversation, and nothing is too gross or out of bounds at our offices. It's just what we have to, it's our life. So we have fun with it. That's why we came up with the tagline, "We Tackle Tinkle," because it just makes it fun. But people, like, when you say "We Tackle Tinkle," they're like, "Oh, I get what you do." Mm-hmm. It's super easy. And then we can add, and it does a whole lot more. But there are people that like the science side of it. So we try and always have that on the website, because you will get people that they really want to know what the heck they're putting on their floor, what's going to be around their animals and their kids and in their environment. They want to know. So we have the whole scientific side, which can explain that with the probiotics and everything. So we have fun both sides.
I like it a lot. I like the word tinkle is like the perfect word because it's so innocent and friendly and funny. And it's so much better than, I saw another brand recently that I really love their product, but they use the word vomit all the time. And I'm like, it's just unpleasant to say.
It is. I know that's one of those words you're like, oof. Yeah. Yeah, there's certain ways to say it, and we play with that all the time. Do we want it to be cuter or funnier? But we also want it to work for everybody and them to understand what the products really, what it can clean and what it can do.
Right.
But yeah, it is not fun subjects.
Well, so I think the most common place that pet parents are thinking of cleaning is carpet or wood floor or tile floor or a couch maybe or bedding. But you guys also make all kinds of other products. You have laundry additive and a spray that you can use outside on your lawn or bushes.
Yeah, turf. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, expanding beyond just cleaning carpets, basically.
Yeah. So the pet bed, so we have a pet bed cleaner. So it can be used as just you straight spray it on, wipe it off. Or if you have the kind that can unzip, you unzip it, put it in the washing machine, and you take this spray top off and pour it directly in your washing machine as detergent. And then it doesn't have a lot of perfumes that affect your dog or cat, because it works for cats too. But it gets rid of that. And that one came about. I had a Mastiff and he ate raw bones, and he always took them to his dog bone. So picture Mastiff with lots of drool and then a raw bone. And it was not a pretty sight and not very sanitary. So I'm like, this is going to work. It was a great way to clean that, because I didn't want to have to wash the thing every day or every other day. I thought it's going to take apart this giant, and this bed was giant. I mean, he was a 130-pound dog, so it was a big bed. So
right. You couldn't wash it every single day, but you could kind of spray it down.
Yeah. And then the turf is, you can spray it outdoors. It hooks up to your hose and it dilutes it perfectly. And you just spray it. You can spray it on turf, grass, rocks. I have kind of gravel in my dog run. Actually, I have a tree in my dog run. I have 2 male dogs. So we have a hiking contest there. And the tree actually will get almost black from urine. And so I'll go out and spray that down. And then we have container gardens in our backyard with pretty flowers in them. And with 2 male dogs, again, they go back there and they have to mark those. So I have to spray those down so I can sit on my patio and not smell urine. I can just enjoy my flowers.
So it that spray for outside, because I've been using that. I have a boxwood hedge in front of my house, and I've got a pretty moderately busy sidewalk with lots of people walking their dogs. And I started to notice a dead patch in the hedge from dogs. I know they're stopping and just having a little tinkle on my hedges. And so I started spraying that. And this year I haven't had any dead spots because I think it just gets rid of the smell so that they don't want to remark over it. Is that kind of the intention?
It is, but it's actually cleaning that urine off there. And sometimes it will even help some grasses and things kind of oxygenate a little bit better. So there's some science behind that too.
Yeah. So there's many benefits.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I have been enjoying that personally. It's good if you live in an area that has a lot of people walking around and walking their dogs, you see all these signs, which I just hate, that people put in their yard that just says, like, it's a picture of a dog pooping with like a big red over it and says no poo or pee. And I'm like, okay, you don't want dogs pooping or peeing, but you'd rather have a sign of a dog like taking an SHIT in your yard. I don't know. That seems kind of unattractive and unappealing to me too.
That's kind of funny. I never thought of it that way, but absolutely, because I know exactly what it has a little sharp point. You just jam it in your grass, and yeah.
And ironically, it's a little raised thing that's very tempting to pee on.
Other dogs have, so your dog smells it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe for the people who are frustrated and putting up those little signs, they might want to try, your lawn or turf. It's a spray, right? Even though it
Yeah,
hooks up.
yeah, it hooks right onto the hose, then
Mhm.
you refill with gallons. It's also great for people that if you have like a dog daycare or some pet rescues use it. So just because you can use it on concrete or anything, and it just keeps everything smelling fresh.
Yeah, that seems like it would be even good for like commercial areas that are really dog friendly.
Absolutely.
That you don't want it smelling like dog pee, even though there's lots of dogs around.
Yeah, a lot of apartment complexes now have their own dog park or dog
Mm-hmm.
walk area, or RV parks do too. Because, think how many people travel in their RVs
Yes.
now and bring their pets. And so we've got some RV parks using it.
Oh my God. And airports too. I had the opportunity to fly with Lucy once, round trip, but we tried to go to the dog potty area at one of the airports and you could smell it like before you even open the door.
Oh gosh.
They definitely need it in there. Okay. So I think we've covered the poo and pee topic. So why don't we kind of shift gears here a little bit and talk about networking, which is, I know, a total shift of topics, but this is something that you're really passionate about, is having this network and community of people in the pet industry, but maybe specifically women in the pet industry. So why is that so important to you? And I guess, what do you think is unique about women in the pet industry?
So and we use the term women in the pet industry. There used to be a group called Women in the Pet Industry, and I'm so sad that it's gone now. But because some of my closest friends in the industry, that's how I met them. And what I think is fascinating about women is they just want to help each other. We're not competing, we're not battling one another. It's like, oh, that works for you. How about this? And, it's just, we share ideas, we share concepts. And how I've done that over the years since we don't have women in the pet industry anymore is I have stayed close to many of those women that I have met. And we have helped each other with businesses, putting different things on our website, or people I know there will call me if they need a product like mine on their website or something like that. But just to be able to have people you can call up and say, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And we can just brainstorm some ideas. Women just seem so generous with what they're willing to share and how they're willing to help each other. And I just love that about the industry. And I feel like in our industry, especially because people got into this usually because there's some passion, like my dog couldn't have this thing, so I created a dog treat for it. Or, just you hear those stories over and over and over. So people are coming at business in a passionate way rather than in, how are we going to go out and make $1 million? And I love when they do make millions of dollars. It's just fun for all of us. But that's not their first intention. They're, most of them are problem solvers. And that's what I consider myself. I'm a problem solver. And so I like to help people with problems way beyond their dogs and cats messes, but just other fun things, sharing ideas, sharing concepts. And I've found where I've got a group of women that there's 4 of us, and we just do a mastermind, and we call each other every couple of weeks, and we have time, and we each talk about what's going on and help each other out. And it's fabulous for all of us. It just helps each and every one of us.
Yeah. I love those chances to collaborate. And I think that there's plenty to go around. And I think some people who don't really get it, get the whole collaborative thing, it is usually because they've come into this, they only want to make money. They're not really interested in helping people or pets, or don't have the passion behind it. And so they're just scared someone's going to steal their customers or their money. And they're not always interested in collaborating in that way. But there's
plenty to go around. There are more pet parents than ever before in the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like groups like yours, your Wagware Repeat Society, I mean, you're just there for each other. And sometimes you're just having a bad day. And you're like, is this worth it? And you can post something and somebody's like, hey, what you're doing is fabulous, and just sometimes you just need a boost. And I think women are wonderful and they're really generous with boosting each other up.
Yeah.
Which you can't beat that.
I do love that sometimes in my society group, we'll have calls where we have some kind of agenda and we just don't stick to the agenda. We just end up talking about whatever. Maybe someone is crying because they're so stressed out by something and we're there for them. That's fine. You can do that. And no one is going to ever judge or, I don't know. It's just, it's a safe place for everyone. And you feel like you can be friends with everyone.
Right. And I think women tend to, in those kind of situations, when somebody is upset, you just want to help them. And so I'm sure those people come out of that call in such a much healthier place than they started. And so if we can share and be vulnerable, we'll get more help from each other, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So for some people, I get questions about, is it worth it to go to this big trade show, or should I go to this thing, or should I join that group? And, you have a lot of experience going to lots of these events and being part of different groups. How does someone prioritize and kind of pick what's right for them? Because it can get costly to be part of everything, but it also is a time commitment. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. So you can't really do everything.
Right. You can't. And like the trade shows, those can be overwhelming. And, there's the two biggies every year, Global and Super Zoo, but there's all kinds of regional and, do you do a retail only one or with, just with your consumers? So you really have to know what your goals are and what you want to get out. I would say your big shows like Global and Super Zoo, those you want branding, you want to be found by independents, but also maybe some of the bigger groups. And you just want to let people know you exist out in the world. You're more the smaller retail shows that tend to be like different cities have different ones. How we've handled those is I'll have people who are dog trainers that use our products, and then they'll talk about it so they can get their niche of people and just educate them and show them kind of an extra thing that they have. But on the being in the different groups, because there's so many available, you just have to figure out what's your niche. What do you need to learn? And is that group going to be one that you're going to learn from? So some are focused on retail. Some are more just for manufacturers. I'm in one group that's just manufacturers, but there's a lot of men in that group. So, but it's strictly email. We just send out email questions, people answer them, next. But then I'm in some other kind of groups where we actually have agendas, we learn things, we're focusing on a certain thing. If it's email marketing or it's how to build your website, make your website better, that kind of thing. I'm also, I'm a lifelong learner. So I kind of dig being in these groups because I just feel like I learn so much. And like just the term SEO, how intense is that? And how much is there to learn? But how important it is if you have any kind of an e-commerce site.
Yeah, which everyone has some kind of a website. Even if you're selling on Etsy, you need to know SEO. Or if you're trying to build a YouTube account, you need to know SEO.
Yeah. And it's vast and it changes all the time. And you don't have, you're running a business, so you don't have time. So if you can be a part of a group and there's somebody in there that's their expertise, yay. I love watching people's genius show up in these talks and calls.
Well, and especially in these groups, it's great when someone is such an expert that they can answer the question in 5 seconds. And it would take you weeks to research it and troubleshoot and figure it out on your own. That's what I love.
Yes. Or they'll say, just go to this site and it's going to help you do that. Like here, you need keywords, go to this site. Check it out. I think you'll like it. You're like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that one. I hadn't heard of that one before.
Yeah, exactly. So, not only do you learn, but you also get great relationships and friendships and community, out of these events and the different groups and things like that. And I noticed a program that you do at Unique is the Unique Puppy Partnerships. And reading through the description of that program, it seems like you have a wonderful relationship with the puppy breeder, the Golden Doodle breeder that you work with.
Yes.
Tell us about that program.
So our concept there is that we will take the money, our percentage, and then we will buy a Golden Doodle puppy for Freedom Service Dogs, because sometimes most of their dogs come from rescues, but sometimes based on an allergy of the actual person or the family, they have to have a more allergen-free dog. And so when I started talking with them, when they knew I was connected to this particular breeder, they're like, oh my gosh, she is like stellar. And, and she's a fun breeder because she uses the Avidog method. So there's so much science in how these puppies are raised and everything. And they have to meet so many people in their little puppy lives before they go to their home. And so I usually get to be one of those people they get to meet.
It's just a perk of the job.
Exactly. So you get that puppy breath boost that I just adore. So
yeah, that's fun. That's a wonderful program. And I think it's, I always love to learn about everyone's charitable component, because a lot of companies, which is wonderful, they just donate to a rescue or cause. But I think it's so neat to like have something tangible, like this dog, we actually helped get this dog into someone's life. And so that's just really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fun way to do it. So yeah. We love doing that.
Well, so speaking of pets, before we run out of time, I need to know what's happening at your house, Julie.
We always say we don't have that person that lives with us who sees an animal and says, oh no, that would be a bad idea. That person doesn't exist in our house. So it's like, oh, another dog. Sure. We can bring in another dog. A cat. Well, if the dogs get along with the cat, let's have the cat. And my husband,
everyone at your house is an enabler.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And we keep saying, if we see a French bulldog that somehow needs a home, we are in serious trouble. But the chickens, though, that whole thing came about, my husband he raised chickens as a kid and he could only get the white ones. And so we have a fabulous colored variety of chickens. And it's fun to get the eggs. They're an added benefit. And I have a bunch of friends that like to eat healthy. So they eat those chicken eggs. And the peacocks we have right now are actually called pied. So they're not, so picture your regular India blue peacock that you're used to seeing, and then now splash a bunch of white on it. And that's a pied peacock. And so they're this kind of weird hybrid, and they're gorgeous and they're just really unique. And it's just fun to, our neighbors, we think most of them still like us. The neighbor children all love us. We're part of where people walk and have to bring their kids because they have to come see the peacocks, especially when he's showing off his full tail. And if there's people there, he will show off. So it's fun.
I don't think I've ever talked to anyone who has peacocks. So what is the care involved in taking care of the peacocks?
They're very easy. They just, you have they take high percentage protein, but, just food and water. And we live at like an 8,400 foot elevation. So it's cold there and they are hardy. They have their little house that they can go in, but they come out all the time in the cold weather. It's amazing. And they're super easy to keep. And they lose their tail feathers in about 3 days. So one day they'll have a tail and you'll start seeing feathers. So we just go in there and gather them up like crazy because people love them. We actually have a florist that uses them for weddings. And then all the neighbor kids love them too. We like to give them away to people.
Yeah, that's very fun.
You get a handful of feathers, and the cat gets to play with some too.
Oh, very fun. Well, it sounds very fun. Everything, your job and all the groups and then the pets, it just sounds like you have such a full and wonderful life.
I do. I love having fun. I love being around great people. So that's why I love the pet industry. I just love the energy we have here. So
it is. It's a special place. So, Julie, tell everyone, where can they go to learn how to tackle tinkle?
Well, it's easy. You just go to tackletinkle.com, and that's our website, and it shows what we do. And we got we will have some new fun things. We're kind of coming up with some new concepts. And so we're going to be doing some rebranding. So keep looking and see what we've got.
Keep your eyes peeled and look for that. And I have tried all the different products, highly recommend it to everyone. It's just nice to have, it's always good to have a solution on hand because you just never know when there's going to be an accident. So thank you so much, Julie, for sharing everything with us today and sharing your time on the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Tori. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And I'm so glad I've gotten to know you better this year.
Likewise.
What did you like most about this episode? Find me on Instagram at @TMystic and let me know what intrigued you or what questions you have about starting or growing your own dog-inspired business. You can also screenshot this episode and tag me in your stories. I love to see who is listening out there. Some of the best conversations happen after the episode, right? So track me down over on Instagram or join the Wear, Wag, Repeat Labs Facebook group to connect with other dog-obsessed entrepreneurs. And as always, you can find all the links and resources discussed in this episode at wearwagrepeat.com/podcast. See you back here next week.